The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Today on BCIT Magazine, a vigil is held for the victims of the opioid crisis. We examine whether Islamophobia is on the rise in Canada. And Vancouver is turned into a winter wonderland. Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Kylie Edwards. We begin with the fentanyl crisis as it's affecting many people in Metro Vancouver. Our reporter Lito Howse attended a vigil for those impacted by the health emergency.
People from all walks of life attended this vigil for victims of the fentanyl crisis. Audrey Siegel had been planning this vigil for a while, but when her mother died from an overdose just days ago, she felt called to action.
You can see it weighing heavier on the frontline workers at the SRO shelters, the injection sites. I see it weighing heavy on all of my friends who work in each of these places, as well as my friends that are out here on the street. People are just getting overwhelmed. We've had no time to heal from one death to the next, to the next, to the next.
Marina Klassen is a frontline worker who provides support and Narcan training. For her, it's a war she wages every day.
I guess I'm just like sending out my love and solidarity to folks that are hurting right now. A lot of people I know, I have lost people, and it's hard not to really feel for them. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Klassen is one of many support workers who are here to show their solidarity with those who are affected.
There's a lot of people that are burning out, a lot of community members that are not only affected personally, but are witnessing a lot. So my way of coping and supporting is by reaching out and doing more, which catches up with you after a while, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Event organizers are planning to make this a monthly event with the hope it might prevent another life from being extinguished. Lito Howse in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Our reporter Lito Howse now joins us live. So Lito, what's the general feeling at the vigil?
Yeah, so as you saw, people were crying and mourning, but there's also a sense of unity just because of the broad spectrum of people that showed up. Kylie?
And where are we with the fentanyl crisis right now?
Yes, so last month, BC Health Minister Terry Lake announced that a total of 946 people passed away from the fentanyl crisis, and the highest number of people dying in December. So people at the vigil were just worn out and tired of mourning and just wanted to see more done. Back to you.
The new federal minister of democratic institutions defended Canada's current electoral system to the House of Commons this week. The Prime Minister and Liberal Party have received criticism recently for going back on their campaign promise of electoral reform. Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, people are standing up against Islamophobia. And UBC students are making the best of Vancouver's heavy snowfall.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May
says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Siggi-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine. Welcome back. 2 random attacks in Stanley Park have prompted investigators to issue a warning. Vancouver police are advising the public to be careful when visiting the park in the evening, as they believe the attacks are random. Following a recent deadly attack at a mosque in Quebec, people of all faiths gathered in Vancouver to stand against Islamophobia and honor the victims. Aziz Hajeri has more.
A world without discrimination is all these people want. They come from many faiths and have gathered here in front of the Vancouver Mosque to mourn those who lost their lives in a Quebec shooting and to denounce the general despondency.
We stand united here against those who will promote hatred towards Muslims and others and to create Islamophobia and xenophobia.
Under heavy snow and the supervision of the Vancouver police, attendees came in large numbers. They held candles to pay their respects and express their concerns.
I'm here because I think solidarity is incredibly important, especially in the troubled times that we live in.
I'm here because I am worried about the growing Islamophobia that seems to be happening all over the Western world.
This is also a reminder that Quebec is not the only province to have a history with attacks on mosques.
Our mosque in Surrey was burned, and there was an attempt to burn down this mosque last fall as well.
According to a recent Forum research poll, 28% of Canadian respondents said they have a negative view of Islam. But that, combined with recent events, doesn't seem to raise security concerns for Haroon Khan, the man who runs this mosque.
Unfortunately, crazy people are out there. It's a fact. And it could have been, and instead of a mosque, it could be a bar, it could be a public place, it could be any other place. In the end, it's not what happens, it's how you deal with it. And I think really, we're dealing with it in the best way possible by gathering together in a mosque without fear. We have no fear.
Organizers say at least 1,000 people showed up Saturday night to express their desire for a future in which other Muslims across the world can also live without fear. Aziz Hajeri in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
We are now joined by our reporter Aziz Hajeri. Aziz, did you get the feeling the local Muslim community is worried that the Quebec incident could repeat itself closer to home?
I spoke to many Muslims and they all had the same answer. We are only afraid of God. Most of them believe the Quebec shooting was an isolated case committed by a single unhinged man. However, some do believe that incidents like this one are being normalized by recent political decisions. So they are not worried, but many of them have concerns about people misunderstanding Islam and how it is commonly practiced.
Speaking on that, what was the general feeling around President Trump's recent travel ban on 7 Muslim-majority countries?
Well, many of those I spoke to are frightened by what this ban means. Some of them even said that actions like this were what preceded the rise of fascism in Europe before the Second World War. On the other hand, they're optimistic that the recent appeal on President Trump's travel ban shows that many are still willing to embrace diversity. Back to you.
Our reporter Amy Quinton sat down with BC Muslim Association President Daoud Ismail to get his take on Islamophobia in Canada.
In your lifetime, do you remember a time that had this much sort of open, racial and hate speak like we've heard recently?
Oh yeah, I came to Canada in the early 70s, and there was some element of racism at the time. I did encounter some racism, people calling you names, they're calling you demeaning things, which is not healthy for a human being to listen to. But I think we passed that stage. I have more to say on this. I think the world fought 2 world wars. 2 bloody wars in the world. And this war was all about racism, bigotry, and to put end to everything. The world came together for freedom, for equality for human beings, and especially what the Jews, our brothers sisters of Jewish faith, faced in Germany after the war, and we know what happened. And one of the striking things is that the world at the time said, this is never ever going to happen again. So we are asking question now, is history repeating itself? We have passed that stage. We have come a long way. The world is so united today. There is no barrier, like people are living like human beings. They have set aside their differences. I think people generally accept whether you are black, whatever color of the skin is, whatever faith you belong to, you have your own peace, whatever faith you follow, the Christian or Muslims or Jews, Hindus or Sikh or whatever faith you follow. People are more accepting of their faith. Whatever you do is your business and nothing to do with as a human race. And people have come together as a human race. We all feel the pain. We all have common objective in life to get through the day, put food on the table, take care of a family. Those are the basic principles. Now people are concerned, like, what is happening? You know, every people of conscience, they're asking this question, what is happening? What has happened to our moral values that we fought? So many people have given their lives. Is it worthless? That blood those people shed is all worthless for everybody? No, it is not. It's not acceptable. We are a human race. We should be respecting each other as a human race, as a human being, and live together in peace and harmony.
Do you think a situation like is happening in the States could happen in Canada with that kind of leader?
No, I don't think so. I have a hard time accepting that, because Canada has always played a peaceful role in the world. Wherever you see in the world there was war or whatever is happening in the world, troubled part of the world, Canada has always played the role of a peacemaker, because Canadians are generally very peaceful people, and I still have my faith in the Canadian society as a general rule.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time. Back to you.
Thanks, Amy. Following the recent attack, our reporter Luisa Alvarez went to find out if BCIT students are apprehensive about publicly practicing their faith.
Mohammed Ta'ala Akhshir is a BCIT business student who comes to pray here 5 times a day. This contemplation room provides students and staff a safe place to come and practice their faith, whatever it may be. With the recent growing media attention that's been surrounding the Muslim faith, Ta'ala Akhshir feels it's a good way to get people asking the right questions.
If you're going to put a stamp on someone that they're a terrorist, right, it makes people wonder, like, what is actually taught in their religion? Why is there so many of them?
He says this interest provides an opportunity to educate people about his faith.
It's being exposed and people are actually doing their research now. So they're not just listening to all of the stuff that you hear on the media. They're actually going to the source, which is the Quran, and then they find the actual teachings that were taught.
BCIT has a diverse student body, and many say that atmosphere has allowed them to ask questions and learn the truth, regardless of what's in the media.
I think it's more curiosity when you're around someone. So for example, me being friends with her, I'll ask questions just because I'm around her. So I'm like, oh, why are you doing this? Or like, oh, what does the Quran say about that?
It's attitudes like this that Ta'ala Akhshir says give him the comfort to practice his faith openly and freely. Luisa Alvarez in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Meanwhile, other BCIT students took a break from the books to be a kid again for Mental Health Awareness Week. Quinn Allen has the story.
I want to get
Coloring and painting. 2 things that are normally obligated to kids, but not this week. Kid for a Day is an event part of the 3-day Mental Health Awareness Week for students to get their minds off school.
Well, just getting the conversation going, having students share their stories about what they've experienced, some of their struggles and some of how they've overcome their challenges, and also educating students on resources within the community, but also on campus, and trying to reduce the stigma around if you are struggling to come out and ask for help.
Handmade designs like this can bring students happiness when going through stressful times like right now, the midterm season.
I love it.
How do you release stress during these exam times? These BCIT students found out.
Just lets you relax, because like I have a midterm in 2 hours and I'm sitting here coloring and I just get to like leave my mind for a little bit.
This is helping my anxiety actually, giving me like something to do with my hands.
Yeah, the Play-Doh's kind of like stress balls.
Yeah.
So, keeps your mind off of all the studying and the homework that students have to be doing. So it's nice to kind of just to get away from it all.
The Student Association is holding 2 more events this week, including free breakfast and cartoons and Doggy De-Stress Day, in addition to this initiative to help students lower their stress levels. Quinn Allen in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
U.S. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren has been silenced by Senate Republicans this week after she read a 30-year-old letter in the Senate. The letter had been written by Martin Luther King Jr.'s widow and criticized U.S. Attorney General nominee Jeff Sessions. Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, BCIT students have trouble getting to school through a wintry commute. And a Burnaby woman is trying to make a difference in a unique way.
Standby graphics, ready, camera one.
If you want to experience the fast-paced world of news,
today on BCIT Magazine, striking,
make magic on a movie set,
frame,
and action, or bring your creative ideas to life, BCIT's hands-on training will get you started. BCIT Television and Video Production. Your possibilities start here.
I chose BCIT because I know that all the programs are very hands-on. We have our own radio station, like it's one of the best programs that I've ever heard of.
I am starting a job on Monday, so confidence is high.
Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be this fun.
Hey, Siobhan.
Hey!
Did you hear about Tristan?
No, what happened?
He got a job. He dropped out of the program.
No way, where?
I'm not sure.
All right, thank you all for coming. President Trump thought I was very qualified for the role, so I'm ready to get started. So let's go with the questions, guys.
Press Secretary, my question is this. Will the President be attending the Drop-In Rock Choir on February 16th from 7:30 to 9 p.m.?
He will not be attending the Drop-In Rock Choir. They will not let him sing Three Doors Down.
Will the President be attending any Family Day celebrations at Kitsilano Community Center? I mean, does the family even mean anything to him?
Well, as you know, President Trump's family will be living a few states away, so it's a bit of a commute to get out there.
Will the President be attending a science workshop at Lee Valley Tools?
Turns out President Trump does not actually believe in science, so he will not be attending the workshop.
And what are the President's plans for Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day has never existed. The President has filled me in on this. It's a ploy by CNN. It's to sell more chocolates. What the President will be attending is the Getting Started with Twitter event later this week.
So tell me.
No more questions. This is actually going to be the final press conference of this presidency, so hope you guys enjoy it.
Welcome back. According to Stats Canada, our country's population has increased 10% since 2011. We now sit at just over 35 million, with the increase being mostly attributed to the country's western regions. BCIT handled this week's snowstorm generally well. In the past, BCIT's response time was criticized, but as Nathan Hutton reports, this time around it was heavy traffic.
It was another snowy week for students at BCIT, both coming to and leaving the Burnaby campus. The main problem for many students ended up being the commute to school rather than the conditions on campus.
Not so much traffic, people just going slowly, a lot of people trying to clear off roads, and just like minor ice buildup causing people just completely stop and block the main road.
It was icy. Right when I was leaving my house, there was some lady that was stuck right in front of like my driveway, so I couldn't leave. I had to help her shovel out for like 30 minutes.
Let me put it this way. I left from Ladner, South Delta, left around 5:50. Didn't get to school until 10 a.m. this morning.
BCIT had taken corners of both the staff and student parking lot for the large mounds of snow, unlike the whiteout students experienced back in early December. Nathan Hutton in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Not everyone was complaining about the snow in Vancouver this week. Thousands of UBC students took part in a giant snowball fight, and I was there to catch the action.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It was a cold and windy day for Vancouverites, but the condition was perfect for throwing snowballs.
It's cold and people don't usually want to go outside when it's cold, but this is a good time for everyone to come out and have some fun.
The amount of snow that came down this weekend had UBC students wanting to recreate the epic snowball fight that happened 4 years ago.
We were getting a lot of Facebook messages about it to do it again, and just realized that we needed to do this for the campus, and it would really hone in on that community.
Close to 2,000 people lined up at the main campus for this year's Long Hard Battle. The event was much bigger and much more intense than anyone expected it would be.
I definitely got hit a few people. I don't know if there's a clear winner. Lots of people were still getting hit, so maybe a loss on whole. A couple times. Maybe a few times.
We were watching each other's backs though, so it made it a little easier.
There was no clear winning side, but everyone got a chance to take a break from school and have fun in the winter weather.
And I'm really surprised that people are still out there now, considering how cold it is, but it went better than we could have imagined.
Kylie Edwards in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. Get ready to brave the cold weather this weekend as rain is expected to hit Metro Vancouver. The Lower Mainland is currently in its longest cold snap in over 30 years. Intense snowfall has also broken 71-year-old records, with Abbotsford receiving over 20 centimeters and Vancouver receiving 12. The Leadership to Action Conference is making the voice of the Indigenous community louder in Vancouver. Our reporter Eric Dackwitz tells us more about how they are making a collective impact.
This diverse group of people is gathered at the Vancouver Aboriginal Friendship Centre for the Leadership to Action Conference. They're here to discuss new ways to change policies that affect the lives of urban Aboriginals. Metro Vancouver Aboriginal Executive Council CEO Kevin Barlow says the idea is to work together.
The collective impact is a framework, I guess, where you bring every stakeholder together that has an interest. So everybody comes together and starts to talk about their issues.
These issues include lack of education in voting and changing outside perspectives.
I think anybody who has an interest or a role to play with the Aboriginal population needs to kind of be in touch with us.
Professionals and members of the community alike share a similar perspective.
We need to be confronted, and we as a group need to do that.
This kind of gives us a voice, and it also gives information back to the community on what we're trying to do.
I always believe in organizations working together for the good of all.
So from the city point of view, how do we incorporate that voice into our work and our policy and our planning in a really meaningful way?
Barlow feels this active engagement is the key to moving forward.
Because we have a large untapped workforce, and if we can somehow get this next generation to be stronger, then their kids will be better, and it'll start to turn things around.
He knows the strength of community and wants to take a collective approach to shape the future. Eric Dackwitz in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
A Burnaby woman is trying to make a change in the AIDS community, one garage sale at a time. Siobhan Litter has more.
I have Cheryl Crow, Santana. Oh look, you too. I've got the CD for you too.
Julie Chera hosts bi-weekly garage sales. She hopes the money she receives in exchange for her lifelong possessions will make a difference for the AIDS community, which has taken the lives of her close friends.
One's a good friend of mine, and the other one is a family friend. Yeah, I just thought, you know, I thought it would be a good charity to give to, and it just holds a really special place in my heart.
Chera has been donating to Positive Living BC for the past 15 years. Neil Self, chair of the board of directors at Positive Living, says the organization appreciates the garage sale donations.
We need more people like Julie in the community to assist us, and it not only does it speaks to our programs and services, it speaks to our community.
These bi-weekly garage sales aren't ending anytime soon.
Eventually, I probably will run out of things to sell, but if I don't, I will continue doing that as I start purging and cleaning up my house, and eventually I hope to do it for the next couple of years.
Siobhan Litter in North Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
And it would be great for a planter, or just to put, you could even put candy in it.
It's that time of the year again. The Grammys are upon us. Our Luisa Alvarez takes a look at the nominees. Luisa?
Thanks, Kylie. It's time to take a look at what big names are up for awards at the most prestigious event of the year in the music industry, the 59th Annual Grammy Awards. For Song of the Year, we have some very familiar names. Queen Bee Beyoncé, who recently announced she's pregnant with twins and stole Selena Gomez's crown for Most Like Instagram Pic, is nominated for her song Formation. Justin Bieber is up for Love Yourself, no surprise there, as the song lit up the charts in 2016, and we can all admit those lyrics are pretty hard not to sing. Not a stranger to nominations, Adele is up this time for her mega hit, Hello. And everyone's favorite Summer Bash by Mike Posner, I Took a Pill in Ibiza, also in the category. And last but certainly not least, 7 Years by Lucas Graham.
Once I was 7 years old, my mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old.
Next up, we have Album of the Year, and we can certainly agree that the nominees in this category are very deserving of their success. We have Adele with her album 25, Beyoncé with her album Lemonade, and that one definitely broke the internet and exceeded everyone's expectations. Purpose by Justin Bieber, Views by King of the Six Drake, and A Sailor's Guide to Earth by Sturgill Simpson. Be sure to tune into the Grammys to see who's who of the music biz this Sunday.
If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitbroadcastnews.ca. I'm Kylie Edwards, and that was your BCIT Magazine. We now leave you with another look at UBC Snowball Fight.
Hey!